get my initial stuff running. The latest problem is this. And this is one of the things I have come to realize about AI. When your project gets big, it will write spaghetti code, and you have to stay on top of it big time. The more complex your code gets, the more you have to stay on top of AI's every little action. It creates, you ask for a new function, a lot of times it'll create new stuff, new processes for you. But oftentimes it will not reuse your data calls. It will not reuse your functions and methods. It'll create some of the same stuff. And you have to remember, so if your application gets really big, and this is where things can be an issue, especially on a team, right? Because you don't, if you're working on a team using AI, the AI may very well start creating a significant issue with spaghetti code because you don't know that what it's creating is either overriding or creating redundancies in your code. So you could end up with a functioning app that does a lot of stuff, but you don't realize that there's a lot of duplicated, redundant code out there. So oftentimes you have to come back and go, okay, something's wrong here. I have undone and refactored and cleaned up and reduced code on a number of occasions because I'm working with AI, and it's an expert at spaghetti code. That's all I can say. Spaghetti code, if you don't know what spaghetti code is, this is code that builds upon itself over time. Just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. But a lot of times it does just that, where you start to have these branches of stuff that build out, and they're no longer reusing code. It's a lot of redundancy. You've got pieces over here that do the same thing as pieces over there, and you just end up with this branch of blah. It's called spaghetti code. It's just every branch is trying to do its own thing. It's every noodle is all doing its own thing, and there's no structure to it anymore. And this happens a lot with really old applications. But with AI, you could end up in spaghetti code hell in no time flat if you've got a big application. For example, I'm working on getting, like right now, this is what I'm working on. I have this run game method which calls an API in on the back end on my services. And in order to get some things to load and do its thing, AI says, hey, we need to get this data into these objects so that it can process or display or do whatever it has to do correctly. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know enough about Unity to know how these things go, so I'm like letting it build. But then I'm going back and then I look at what it did. And I'm like, oh, well, you're referencing these values that are actually defined in this API. And I said, just use this API. It says, all right, so it'll use the API. And I keep telling it, I says, use these classes, the API class that calls the run game data. Use this class that has the run game methods in it. But AI will, and I'm talking about the latest. I'm talking Claude Sonnet 4, ChatGPT 4.1. And I'm talking about the ones that are the best, the current best as of 5/29/25, because we know they're going to come out with something new soon enough. But right now, these are the best there is as far as coding tools. And I tell you, it will screw up your code. It will. I mean, it may function, like I said, it'll put stuff together. But then if you really look at your code, and if you're any kind of a developer of any experience, you're going to see it's calling all these methods. And I go, all right, look, you're creating functions that already are handled. I mean, why are you creating this complicated caching system for holding the data? I'm like, when I call this run game method here in the run game class, it's already pulling all that. It's getting the game session and the game state, which has all the data you're looking for. Just reference that data straight from that, create a simple variable system that just holds those. I mean, it's all we got to do. Just got to have a public variable or a private variable, whatever, that's got that's held in the session or in state. And I told it, look at this and undo this mess. Because I was like, I didn't want to have to go through all this code it wrote and fix it. I'm like, you're just making this way too complicated. I said, here's my actual line of reasoning. I go, okay, this feels way overcomplicated. Why not just store the information returned from the run simulator instance run game, which is what we're calling, in the next play from the get next play from API call? It's a function. At that point, we will have all the data we need and each subsequent call to a next play. So when it goes and gets the next play for the game, and runs and gets the play displays and all the stuff it needs, it will update the state with which will have any players that we need. It'll have everything we need. There's no reason for all this complicated caching system. And then it says we set a property with those parent objects and just pass it around or fetch what we need instead of all this complicated caching. And it was literally creating a player cache. It was setting those caches. It was storing them, had all these functions that all it did was read the properties off of the object that already had properties. Why not just read straight from the property? I mean, why on earth do we need to have functions that call to do the one thing you're doing anyway? We don't need that. And so it's creating all these weird things. And I'm like, okay, you're overthinking this AI. Let's simplify. So it comes back and goes, you're absolutely right. Well, I know. Looking at the code, I can see that we already have all this data. This complex caching system is unnecessary. Let's simplify this dramatically. So this is what it ended up writing. And now we're going to look at what it did and how simplified it is. To be much simpler. So we're going to see how this is called. As you can see here, there's a fair amount of things that are a little bit different. And we'll see how much it reduces things. But right now, there is, and you can see there's even errors in it, 619 lines in the run game. This is before implementing in the run game class. And before I had it like, okay, undo this garbage. So we're going to see how much it actually reduces things by cleaning this caching system out. And I already know that I can look at it and go, okay, well, and it'll actually come down to how does it look when it's finished, because there's going to be some debugging, I guarantee it. But we'll see how well it's able to restructure itself. So here we are. We're in run game. Let's see where it starts. Okay, so we are going to be keeping a lot of the things that happen towards the bottom, it says here, because it just says all other things. Rest of existing methods remain the same. So we'll see. If it's referencing any properties, that's already wrong. But we're going to see what's going on here, because like this run is private void on GUI, which is doing some checks. It's just logging kind of what happened, so it's probably not too big of a deal. But so let's go see. We're going to step through this, find out what it actually changes. Okay, so we have this run game.cs, and I anymore, you kind of have to step through all the time. So we got 6 declarations. It's already reduced one. It got rid of one declaration. So there's something here we've already reduced. We have one using statement or import that is not necessary. It looks like it's getting rid of system.collections. And this is being used here, even though we also have the generic, but it is being used, but it removes it. So apparently that's not necessary anymore in the update. So that's good. That's already implying that we will be removing code. So we got transform, game object for each offense and defense. All right, so we're going to set those. That'll be easier to reference. Apparently, it doesn't feel a need to store the game ID, which makes sense because it's in the state. The state already has it, so we don't need to do that anymore. So we can get rid of that. It gets rid of the player cache, which of course is what I was telling it to do in the first place, because that's stupid. In fact, it looks like it's getting rid of this whole stuff here, because we don't have the dictionary nonsense. We just have the session and state. Session and state data. So weird. I don't know why that does that. Okay. We do still use the quarter game of time, delaying, and then, okay, so we got rid of all that. So that means all the code that's related to those things should be going away, and hopefully will still be pretty good functionality. So we got the instance. We destroy objects when we clean up, shut down, team, error log, and then we have our ball transform object, which is really just us getting the football. That's really all it is. It's going to find the football, and it's set in the serialize. So we don't have anything but some logging there. Find offense and defense teams in hierarchy if not already set. So we do already have them. Offense team assigned to run game script. These are good. These are warnings that just say, hey, you didn't set everything up, because you're supposed to attach the team object that's going to get where all your stuff goes. So they're just log tests to make sure that we're creating we've attached our objects to the script. Okay, so we got a new play. Now, new play is kind of one of the ones I was talking about. So let's see how well it cleans it up. So we got log 1 for play. Pretty much anything that's going to reference any of the values within should have some kind of a cleanup in them. Pre-snap instance. Cannot place a ball at the line of scrimmage. Now, this is one of those things that we should have this object. That's another one. I don't like a lot of these tests. They just go, hey, this isn't a thing, right? So this is just a flag to make sure we're not accidentally calling another play. I don't know why we would do that, but it is. If this comes up, I would definitely be curious to know. So that's, but we're going to set it to true. We should never call another play, but unless it's already complete. So we're going to go try pre-snap instance equals null. If it's okay, why? We should have this, but I don't know why the singleton wouldn't be available. But we're going to go ahead and close it off. All right. We'll be logging that, so we should be able to get around it. So we got pre-snap instance for the set the ball in the right place, return to the huddle, huddle complete, huddle pre-snap instance on huddle formation complete. All right, so we got a while not huddle complete. We're waiting. So basically, this is just waiting for all the players to get back to the huddle, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's a good wait. Because I do have players going back to the huddle. I think it's a cool functionality, assuming it works. Response equals null. Debug, failed to get next play data, nothing out there. So we're going to get, this is where we're actually getting the data from backend service. It's going to go generate the play. Interestingly enough, though, I thought my API required something to go back with it. So that feels wrong. Because that's a get next play from API. There may be a function that's, maybe the function reads before it makes the call. So I won't write that off just yet, but we'll see. This one is now just update from response, which instead of update game state from response, I don't know, maybe it's doing something a little bit more complex, a little simpler there. Maybe it's also going to update the session. All right, on, play complete, invoke, play in progress, false. Okay. Not much else there. All right, let's go see what else it did. So we got to go look at wait. Oh, we don't have a wait. We might be able to get rid of some of this. Wait for players in position. I don't know. Are all players in position? Well, maybe I don't need that. That's actually just checking for where the players are going to be anyway, so we should be all right there. Get next play from API. So this is the next function that's going to be making a call to the This is the function I was just talking about that I'm thinking needs to have data to go make the call. So we'll see what that does. Okay, so we do pass in the team. We do have to have more information though. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to pass whether or not we have a delay of game. Okay, so delay of game is the only functionality that happens in the UI. And this is because the UI is the only place where the clock exists. And there's a couple of values that we have to send back to a game. We have to send back what the current clock time is so that we can synchronize with whoever we're playing with. So if we're playing with a head-to-head, the clocks have to stay in sync. And usually you can only have one, what do they call it, source of truth. So the source of truth has to be the host. So whoever initialized the game would be the source of truth. So even though they're both having a clock that's running, theoretically the source of truth is going to be the playtime coming back to the user. Now, I'd like to synchronize. It'd be kind of cool because every time a game stops, it's a good time to do a source of truth synchronization for the clock, right? Every time the clock stops, we synchronize them, make sure they're at the same spot. But otherwise, they have to run on whatever time it takes to get back to the huddle. And both players are going to do their thing. Both sides are going to run it. Theoretically, if the clocks are running correctly on both sides, we're going to see the delay of game would be accurate or within fractions of a second, right? So we'll see. Hopefully that'll be the case. I don't know. I may even have to do something where I'm constantly syncing the clock, or it's sending it back and forth. If nothing else, just so that both the we don't get significantly out of sync between the UI and between two players, so that their clock kind of stays in sync. I don't know how fast that going back and forth works, but I may have to do something. But anyway, the source of truth, that's what the whole point of having that is. So we have delay of game, which is based on the clock. So we pass the clock, the delay of game, and when we're referencing the game, we have to have a game ID. So the API for get next play is my game run game. So we have run game. Oh, maybe is it game data? Oh, simulate data. Oh, simulator data. Okay, so that's probably the right one. So we have run game right here. I didn't realize run game data didn't do anything. We'll have to get rid of that or put them all in run game. So this one calls an API, which is just the run game method. But we do have to pass some data, and that one passes the user ID or the ID of both teams and the game ID. No game ID yet. So we have a game ID by now, so we need to fix this. There is a game ID. What is the game ID? The game ID is going to be the object that's holding my current. Oh, I have current game ID set. Oh, it's not. How is it setting that? No, it won't have it yet. Never mind. It won't have it yet because this is a brand new. This is a run game. This is the first call. There is no game ID. Okay, so what it's setting for on the try is we're going to get the current session. If session is null, then we're doing this. Okay, so I see what's going on. All right, so it did get rid of the caching tool or caching nonsense. Then we can do this, and it's just looking to see if we have a session set yet. Interestingly enough, though, I don't know where the value is getting declared because it's null there, but it's not anywhere else. And then we're going to go here. Just get next play, which is going to run off of the simulator data get next play, which is time remaining, delay of game. Yes, that's the correct stuff. And then we have the exception, which basically, okay, so that reduces code a little bit. all we need is this to get rid of all of this. Alright, so we're still got a little buggy. Let's see what else we got here. So we got update from response. This is probably where we're going to set this object. So we probably, I'm pretty sure we're dumping all this cache stuff because that was the whole point. This is getting rid of all this stuff. Cache, all that stuff needs to go away. Let's dump all that nonsense. Player cache data. Update from response. We'll take all this. This is a brand new function. I'm 99.9% sure that is a brand new thing. That's just going to update the variables, I hope. That's what if I'm understanding correctly, that's what that's intended to do. Rest of existing methods remain the same. So update game state from response. I don't think I need that either. Update game state. Did I have two update game states from response? Jeez. Get players from team. So I think all these go away as well. And then we need to put these in. Helper methods. These ones don't do anything. I mean, it's a single line helper. Get home team, get away team. Get players from team. I don't even think I need to get players from team, but what is that one doing? Get active players for team. So we've got get player controller. Player controller. At least it's not looking at any of the cache values. There's something weird. It still didn't. It didn't identify this current game session thing. And if it did, I totally missed it. Oh, maybe because I thought it was keeping the same name, and it changes. It likes to change names. It doesn't just simply fix things. It has to change them. So this is the problem. This is not cached game session. I do like that it shows the references, I guess. Which is interesting because these ones don't show that. Okay, we'll take it. All right, now I got to go update what it changed. Let's see what we ended up with. I said what, there was 600 and some lines. Now we're down to, yeah, I took about 200 lines off, so that's pretty good. Well, it's almost 500, so probably less than 200, maybe 150 lines. Still, it's less. That's 150 lines of less complication, less spaghetti. Simplified player pool manager. Let's go to the player pool. Now the player pool manager's job is to handle players that are coming and going in the game. It doesn't delete the objects of whatever I'm assigning to them, so that would be the any player that comes in, because they can be different models, and I don't want to be reloading models all the time. So my thought is they're going to run off the field, and then they're going to just kind of stay on the sidelines or disappear. I am interested in possibly Alexa, how many players travel with a team in the NFL up from their roster?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the NFL allows teams to carry 53 players on their roster.
Yeah, but that's not. Well, short of injuries, I thought there was a limit how much they could actually have available to them because you don't, even though you have a bunch of players on your team, there's a limit to how many you can actually have. Let's see what Copilot says. Nope. Copilot always crashes if it's been open too long. It is one of the things.
Hi, Kenneth. What's up?
Hi. Hey, in the NFL, I know teams have 53 men or 53 players on their roster, but is there any limitation as to how many of those players can actually travel with them or go to games?
Yeah, teams can have 53 active players on their roster, but not all of them travel. For away games, there's a limit, usually 46 players, including the third string quarterback. It's all about strategy and making sure they've got the right mix of players.
So 53 people are allowed on the team. Is that like active players, or is that just like including some that are allowing for some that are on on a pup or something?
The 53-man roster refers to active players. Teams have to manage their injured players within that limit, or place them on injured reserve, IR. Once on IR, a player doesn't count towards the active roster, but returning them to play involves certain rules and timelines. So, the 53-man limit is essentially for those ready to play.
Okay, so there we go. They can only take 46 players with them, which is that's most of your roster. I'm not sure why. You're 7 players is like, well, why bother limiting them at all? It's like that's pretty. I thought it was. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. It lets you have a backup for every position. So that's 44 players, right? 22. But then you have your kicker and your punter. So that would be 46. And you may have one. Then that kind of covers it, right? One for everybody, and your kicker and your punter. And then they said, and your third string quarterback. So there's one player of that 46 that is not going to be backed up. But if you think about it, you have backups for everybody because like corners, I mean, if you have 3, you have a backup for both. If you have 4, you still have 2 backups, even if you're running 3 cornerbacks. Same goes for linebackers. I mean, you can run a 3-4 or a 4-3 or a 5-2, and you probably have 1 extra linebacker beyond that. You probably take like 6 linebackers, but it's probably not some of them. In some plays, you're running backups because you have more linebackers in. There are backups to others for 3 and 4 players, 3 and 4 linebackers, but and then you probably have like a defensive end and a defensive guard can probably be backed up by the same person or center, especially on defense. The nose tackles and the guards, probably the same player. I mean, a same style of player. There's not a huge difference between a guard and a nose tackle. Some do better of rushing from left to right or from the right side or the left side, but a backup probably backs up both, right? So you don't really need to have one for every starter. You might have 2 or 3 for some positions, and in some places you might have 4 or 5, just because for a quarterback you may have multiple running backs. You may have a few options. You may carry 5 receivers instead of just 3 or whatever you're doing, just so that you're always ready. So, I mean, if you really think about it, you got to be ready for a 4 wide receiver set, sometimes with extra tight ends. So you might have 2 tight ends, but you may only have 2 or 3 tight ends on your entire roster, but sometimes you need to have 2 in play. And maybe you have a third tight end that's also a fifth receiver or fourth receiver, so because there's times when you have to have 4 receivers in play or even 5. You can have 5 receivers on the field, and not very many teams carry more than 6 or so receivers. That'd be a lot. And if you need more than that, or if you're even running, even if you only run 5 receivers, you're probably carrying a tight end can be your 5th receiver, or some character who's pretty good at, who maybe is a 3rd string running back is also a 5th string wide receiver or something, or maybe he's a 2nd string receiver, but he's also your 3rd running back. I don't know, but it just depends. So there's some strategy there, but really 46 is probably more than enough players. And if you're allowed 53, it's kind of a bummer to be one of the 7 guys that you're on the bottom of the ladder when you're one of the 7 guys. They go, yeah, we're not taking you with us. You don't need to go. You're like, whoa, I must really be on the edge, because they just don't even feel you're there going to be useful in a backup. I think sometimes minor injury players who just like, all right, well, we got a few backups. You're nursing a calf or a hamstring or something, and you're a 2nd string or 3rd stringer. They might leave you behind just because, why bother? I mean, you're kind of on the bottom of the rung anyway. Maybe you would go with them most days, but because you're injured, they're just taking someone else instead. But anyway, there you go. 53, 46 is the amount that travels, which is more than I thought, to be honest. So ultimately, the reason I say that is the whole reason I discussed it at all is because on the sidelines of an NFL game, do I want to have all 46 of my guys available? 11 on the field, and that would be, and that's only for away, right? 53 guys could technically be there at a home game. So that puts 11 on the field, and it's 53. So that puts 42 guys on the sideline. That is a lot of guys to have sitting around on the sidelines. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I was thinking like having like 5 or 6 standing there. Maybe like, the backups to some of your stars might be sitting on the sidelines. That's all you have. Everybody else is. Have a few guys on the bench, maybe have some backups in there. Maybe your defensive players are there. Something like that. Just to kind of have a visual element to people being on the field. So maybe I won't disable all of them. Maybe I'll just disable, anytime that there's more than 10 total players, or I'm sorry, more than 20 players available in total, I'll start disabling anyone beyond that. Having 9 or 10 or 11 sitting on the sidelines is probably about it. Just for the visual aspects of having players on the sidelines, because it's cool. I have to figure out how to create a coach-looking character too, to have him standing on the sidelines. That'd be cool. I mean, why not? Everybody can stand on the sidelines. I don't know. We'll see. I still have to figure out meshes and all that other logical or visual stuff, and I'm not messing with that right now. Okay, so we got to we've got to fix my player pool manager. Update players for new play. Let's see here. Update players. Whoa. That's it. We just have a call for it. We're not even using it. That's nice. Okay. Didn't even have that player. Okay, so what about update? What this other get player team ID? Why do we need that? I don't even know why we need that. Simple logic. You can make this more sophisticated. Why do we need it? Player ID that contains home team. That's not even a thing. Why do we? Determine team assignment. Run game instance as home team. I still don't like it. I'm going to take this, but I still think it's, I'm going to take it and have it rewrite it. Get player model type. And again, get team from roster or simple logic. I already said it's not based on their... It totally ignored me when I told it what this stuff is supposed to be. It's feeling the need to do what it wants, but we're going to have it clean this up. This has so many errors in it. Get active players for team. I don't know. I don't feel like I want that. I'm gonna dump this. I don't need a function for determine home team. Set player identity. Set a player's permanent identity, called once when player first enters game. Set active. Find this player assignment in the team info. Nope. See, that's not even right. Because a player can change positions. Store player data for future reference. Current position. Oh, I guess they do have that set to change. Get model type for player. This comes from your team data. Do we have game session here? Team play info. Team should be. So we're using team play info and we're saying set up player identifier for their permanent info. Identify player. Get component play identifier. Team info dot team ID. I don't even understand why it has to be home team or what. I mean, what is the... I mean, I guess I could set home team, away team, and then that's what team is going to go under. It's not is home team, it's is home team is team info dot wait, what is in the team play info? Go to definition. Team play info has possession. Alright, so that's the thing. Well, that's the team. I don't even know. Okay, so that's not going to work because I can't go by has possession. That's determines if they're offense, not home team. So, but game session knows which one is the team. Game session knows which one's home. Player ID, game object is the player itself. String is the player ID. Team play info is not, it's not a good way to figure that out. So where's the session? Does the pool have access to the session? Find the player's assignment in the team info. Find this player's assignment in the team info. So go in and assignment team info dot player position assignments. First for default, player ID equals player ID if assignment equals null. Set up player identifier with their permanent info. Get component, player identifier. What is, go to definition for player identifier. It just seems like that's another thing. Why are we using that? I mean, that's not a player ID, team ID, position, mascot, primary color, secondary color. Why? I mean, I guess maybe we use that. Okay, so we got team ID, we got the player, team player info. I guess we are providing something. What is my game session returning the players with it? I feel like my game session is returning this already. So we have run game, we have game session, we got team details, game state, player progress log, team play info, player position assignment, next play request. Player position. So we have this. And player position. Alright, so if I was to go, what does this one do? That's player identifier. Go to definition. So that's not. I don't think this is what I want. I mean, we do have a player ID, team ID, position, but position is like his primary position. His mascot, which is, it's not quite right. That's more like team information. Though the mascot, yeah, see, that doesn't work. I mean, and how is it, when do we call player identifier and initialize it? All right, we gotta go look at when this is called. So we got animation troubleshooter, character animation controller, app initializer. Probably it's not going to be here. Camera, navigation flash speed controller, game processing, player identifier. That's the function I'm public voiding. Team manager, identifier.initialize. That's probably not it. Well, maybe it is. Identifier is a player identifier, get component, add component. Okay. So the team manager is trying to initialize. So we're going to create this player. Player object equals instantiate quaternion dot identity. What the heck is that? Field parent. Optional, add rendering fixes for model, make sure mesh rendering fixer exists. I'll comment this out. Player identifier. But where are we calling this create player from? And we are providing the initialize, team name, position, data. Model type is mascot. It's that's what I was wondering about. It is supposed to be model type, but for some bizarre reason it's set up in here as as mascot, which it's not a mascot. It's the character it is the mascot representation of that character. It's kind of like if everybody was naming if the NFL used characters of actual races. It's like if the Jaguars actually existed as a team, as a source of players. So you had players out there that were Jaguars. They would be humanoid Jaguars. Be kind of weird looking. I mean, as would be anything that's can be a blend of humans. But that's what it would be like. So that's kind of how this league works. Everybody actually exists. All the mascots, all the Jaguars have now blended over time. It used to be a team of just Jaguar humanoids. Now some of those players play on other teams, and there's humans on the team, and there's Scorned on the team, and there's Reapers on the team. So now they're just a blend of everybody, unless you decide to build a team that has cohesion made of that type of people or creature, whatever it is. So I am just trying to iron out this code, man. It's got some serious flaws that it's just got too many placeholder pieces of gobbledygook. So let's go to the initialize source, go to definition again. And this should not be mascot. This should be model type. And we'll take that and just make it here. Now, that doesn't mean I still want this function. I'm still trying to figure out why and when. So I feel like there's still some redundancy in places. Create. So we got create player here. How many places is this called in the project? Is it not even called anywhere? What the heck? Team manager, the only place it exists. It's a private, and then it's here. Create player. Create player is set up team. Set up team. So are we loading all the players at once? Clear team. Create player based on team data. For each player data in team data.players, if active players.count greater than equal max players, break. Find appropriate model for this player. So it's loading all of them? I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to load players until they're requested. Why put them in the system until they're actually requested? Because at first we're only going to need BO. Exactly. Buffalo Bills made up of Buffalo Bills. Wow. They'd be made up of Buffalo probably. I'd probably make them like, well, Buffalo's the city, right? So they'd be made up of Bills. That would suck. That's a terrible mascot. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you. I'm telling you, man, I hate doing graphics. I really hate graphics. I have been going back and forth on whether or not I'm going to go 2D, if I'm going to stick with 3D, if I'm just going to go... I thought maybe doing a 2D and a 3D environment type setup, but then I have to create I still have to create animations, and I don't have to do skeletons or rigging, but I think I'm gonna have to do rigging. So yeah, I'm just gonna have guys sliding around on the field for now because I just want to get all the back end functionality. Yeah. So in my world, some teams would be pretty bad. I mean, like a Charger's a horse, so you can get away with that. But what else? Like the Browns. What would be a Browns? That'd just be a bunch of people, creatures, something that are just brown. That'd be kind of weird. I have like a nebulous brown gas that makes up a player. Just this weird nebulous brown gas that shapes as it goes, but it has it's like it's wearing football gear. That would be kind of cool, and it would just be like the Browns. Of course, I couldn't do that because I'd still be using the Browns. It would have to be one of my made up team names that has a scenario like that. But that would be kind of a weird one. Nothing like giving myself more complicated models to try to work out. But no, I saw your. I know, isn't it? The thing I want most in my manager game is a cool simulator, and I hate graphics. I don't hate graphics. I am just not. I have no. I hate that I'm bad at them. That's what it is. I hate that I'm terrible at graphics. That's what it is. It has really nothing to do with my. If I could do it, if my brain could wrap itself around graphics, I'd be all over it, man. But I don't know what the heck. It's like it might as well be writing in Chinese. I just don't know. It's a it's a sad state of affairs, man. It's kind of funny. Twitch says I've been streaming for 7 hours. I've been on for 52 minutes. So I don't know why it like connects all my streams, even though I stop and I go away for a few hours. Oh, really? Because my on here it says yeah, it says 7 hours and 30 minutes. Huh. That's weird. I don't know. But 52 is correct. So that's I don't know why I don't know why my mobile device says 7 hours. But yeah, I know. That's all right. I appreciate you stopping by. I saw that your game is getting ready to launch or something, right? You're getting close to your being done with yours. I like, I was looking at it again the other day, and I like the way your game pans in, and when it goes to change screens, it goes through the walkway down underneath the stadium. I think that's cool. That's a pretty cool thing you guys did there. And the other thing I don't know how to do, which I'm really I have not been able to figure out, is how do I put a good wrapper of the stands around the field. And I know there's assets that do it, but I want it to be kind of custom. I don't want it to look like everybody else. I don't want to look like a generic asset. I mean, maybe you can do some change ups, but you guys did a pretty good job with that. Yeah, you don't have to worry about me though. Yeah, you guys, my game will be no competition for yours. My game is a whole nother ball of wax. You guys are good to go. Now, I hopefully will have at least some cool features that a lot of these football games don't have, like head to head and stream games and or streamer games and some pretty cool league play and stuff like that. That's my bread and butter. Putting that stuff together, I've already got a lot of that play stuff in place, and now I'm just learning how to feed it into my UI. But so far so good. But I'm just dreading the graphics. You wanted me to make your simulation? What you mean, like the back end logic? Hey, by the way, I actually finally got my simulation kind of ironed out. I mean, the code part of it. Again, I'm working on getting the UI part to start reading it, but I've actually kind of got it set up now. Oh yeah. Well, I'm a big football fan anyway. I don't know how big a sports. I mean, I follow other sports. I like to know what's going on, but I only really pay attention to football. I mean, heavily, like watch games and root for teams, and I root for some Colorado teams merely because I have family in Colorado, and I picked the Broncos are my favorite team, so the least I could do is stick with it. Well, the Avalanche, they've always been competitive, so it's always cool to watch them doing well. But I think they already got knocked out. They got knocked out in like the first round, didn't they? Yeah, it was either the first round. They lost in like 7 games or something. Oh no, it was the Nuggets who got knocked out in 7 games. They were like 3-3 and lost in this. I didn't really see what happened to the Avalanche, but I didn't realize the playoffs for basketball and hockey went on at the same time. I know basketball's about over though; it's almost completed. Rantanen came back and scored a ton for the Stars. The Oilers and the Stars are going to the finals. The Edmonton Oilers. Oh, and the Panthers. Oilers versus Panthers. Yeah, my I have some family. In fact, my daughter is a huge hockey fan, but unfortunately, we live in Seattle and she follows the Kraken. So, they're not they're still just, children in a man's game right now. I mean, they're just getting going, They've had a couple of good things, but you did? Yeah, she's actually gone to a couple of Kraken games. She likes watching them play. And I think that's kind of cool. Just knowing that my daughter watches anything in sports. My sons don't even watch sports, so the fact that my daughter watches the Kraken, I'm like, that's cool. I don't know what I did wrong. Like, I I slipped up somewhere. My sons aren't even into football. My youngest son does. He does at least show interest. Like he asks about the Broncos. How are they doing this year? What's going on with them? But he doesn't watch them. He might even, if I were to offer, take him. He might go to a game with me. I think he's got that kind of level of interest where it's just enough that he's curious to see, but not enough to follow him regularly. And they're all adults, so they're all doing their own thing now. But my other kids are like, whatever. I host a Super Bowl party most years, and my sons don't even come. I actually have one. I have one son who'll come just because he likes to hang out with everybody who comes, but he doesn't care about the game. But I'll tell you, man, Unity. I actually was looking at is Unity the easier of the two between this and Unreal Engine, and I settled back in Unity. I was just getting frustrated with it. It's not that I have any problem with the coding. It's just I don't know. I'm just looking for something easier. it's it's the intimidation of rigging and modeling rigging and modeling characters. That's what's just got me intimidated all the heck. Putting a bunch of guys on the field, that's, I that's not so bad creating the models, but these guys, the only animation any of them have is running. That's all I got, and it's just on these guys. I don't have any other characters done, and I'm I just have these guys on the field because I wanted to see what 22 guys look like on the field. And I'll tell you what, All right, hey, you're here. I want to ask you this question about your game, and I've also seen this in other games, other football games. Are you guys to scale? I mean, in other words, is your football field 53 yards by 100 yards? Or are you doing something? I feel like the field is thinner proportionally than to a real football field. Because I feel like a lot of these games they manage to get pretty decent close upness. I mean, even though, because even in 30, 40 yards, they look tiny when you have to spread them out over the 53-yard ratio. So I've got 100 yards by 53 yards, which is what a football field is. It's 120. Yeah, I have my football, my camera's, what, 200 feet in the air? What is this? Um, See, I got a pretty high camera angle for the end zone. The sideline camera, which is what most games seem to use. But look, I am using up a really wide area here. And they still look really tiny. And these guys are almost 2 meters in size. I mean, these guys are huge. These guys are like 4 feet wide. Because each of these squares is a meter. So that's like, they're overlapping a full square. So they're going upwards of 2 meters in size. And these guys look tiny. So, but that makes the football field take up more screen. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're working on a phone, even at whatever scene, you guys manage to get it where it looks like all your stuff is on the field. And your guys don't look that tiny. I mean, they're small, sure, but I mean, this is a 53-yard field, and if I go up any higher, this part of my screen, the 53 yards, is going to take up even more screen. Right? So you're thinking pull it all the way back to here, but that's not I mean, then I can't see these guys. Are you saying like hide the guys on the right and only show them when the ball goes to them? Because I do have my camera kind of following the ball, or at least that's how I have it set up. So like right now, I have let's see if I can actually set this here. Let's go to the visitor sideline. Oh, I got to turn my lame background off. It looks okay, but it really interferes with my doing stuff. Where is my background? I got to turn that off. Oh, wait a minute. It is off. What the heck? Why is my screen blocked then? All right, what is going on? All right, so I got this camera, which a lot of football games, the ones that you play, that you have control over, use this angle. I wonder why. I've noticed that you guys, well, Retro Bowl does the same thing as you, but you have a side view for your movement. Whereas a lot of games like Madden and other sports games, when you have control, they run it from the end zone. And I wonder why did you choose a game that you control? Why did you choose that over an end zone approach like a lot of games do for control games? For simulations, sideline view is by far the best, I think. But I'm hoping to be able to have a moving camera. But if I go with 2D, I can't do a moving camera. I have to do side only, and that's another reason why I'm hesitant to do that. But I don't know if I'm ever going to get all the, and that's the thing. It's not that I don't want to do the graphics things. I just know I'm so bad at it. It's going to take me forever to have multiple models. So I'm just trying to find a way that maybe I can get you know, a few models done, and maybe in quick order, but I don't know. Okay, so this is my view, and I'm 295 feet. Oh, wait, no. Wait a minute. That's not right. Oh, that's not my camera. Let's go to my camera. Okay, so my camera is 180 feet in the air. Yeah, but doesn't that work the same though? I mean, you hold the guy down and the line moves around and extends to where it goes. Oh, you're talking about for like doing fancy moves like charging and whatever you called it. You had some, I forgot what you called it when you guys are doing fancy moves or whatever. But you can do that from behind too. I mean, you could still slice and dive and do all that. I mean, it would still work from the rear view. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it looks good. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm not complaining. I was just curious why you did it. I think with your game, it works pretty good because you don't need to see way down the field as much, although it can be a thing. But like, I think a player who's controlling the quarterback who wants to feel like they are the quarterback wants to see downfield because it's more like you'd actually be playing. You're almost just controlling a guy. You're trying to make that guy do something or that running back do something. Where those games try to give you the perspective of you are that guy. That's the premise. You say, oh, I'm running trying to break through the line, and so you're given the view of the guy actually trying to do the thing. But see, yeah, my camera is 180 feet in the air. So what if I go like, well, let's just do something dramatic, like 400 feet in the air. So now I'm way up. And now I would have to change my up camera to go down to like, let's say negative 30 degrees. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Rotation. We'll go 50 degrees. And then we have to, then what? Zoom in? But there's not really a zoom. It's move the camera closer. That's your option. Right, but don't you just hold the guy and you pull back on the the football player, and then you kind of decide by how far you want to, by the amount that you pull back, and then you just direct where you want it to go. But you could do that from behind too. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't pull instead of push. Well, yeah, I just changed the angle. I've changed it to 40 degrees, 50 degrees. But see how big my field gets? Now, like you said, I can zoom in, but I'd have to drop the altitude. That's what I tried to do. I tried to bring it in closer so I could see it better. So instead of being 400 feet, which I went way up just to see what it looked like. Or are you thinking like, yeah, see, then I've been messing with these angles, trying to figure out how to get better view on guys. So if I go 300 is closer, but then of course the field gets big and gigantic. There's 600 feet in there. But now my guys are like bugs. But now the way I was running is I was running about 180 feet or 200 feet, right? So this is the height I'm generally running at, and then I just changed my angle to be something like that. So now I'm back at where I was. My guys are just tiny. You know what it could be? You know what it could be is if I go back up to 400 and then, change my angle back down to, we'll say, 45. it could be that my guys just have too much detail and they just look crappy because they're too tiny and you take all that detail and it blurs them out. And this is where I was kind of trying to think, man, maybe I want to create. The problem is, like, say this guy, all right? So if I was to animate him, he doesn't look very good because stupid Tripo attached his hand to his knee, so it's blurred. Plus, I hate this coloring. And this is another problem. I can do this as a normal model, like it's just white. It's like I take away his, I could take away his texture. But I don't, that means I have to color all these guys. And then I have to create textures for all of them. And I don't know how to do textures and meshes. It's just so much more. And then I have to do it for 20 different dudes with slightly different gear. I think I really think I'm going to have to, I hate to do it. I don't want to do it. But I may have to go with humans. I don't want to do humans. There are humans in my league, but there's like two humans in the league. That like one is the vile jocks. They're human, and they just look like humans. And then one is the what are they? The bums or something like that. I forgot what they're called. Oh, thugs, the street thugs. I have the Earless street thugs, and so those are pretty much my only human guys. And if I put football gear on them, they're just gonna look like human guys. And I just hate the idea of having to give up on the thing that I thought was kind of one of the cool differences in my game is using all these different races. But I think I'll have some pretty cool league features and simulation setup. I recently I changed my simulation though to decide how I was trying to implement speed. The last few days I was trying to figure out how speed was going to work. Hey man, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, and thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to need all the luck I can get. It's going to take, but I do hope to have some kind of semi-working model here in the next couple of months. Yeah, I am. I'm going to keep working on that stuff. And what I'm thinking is going to happen first is I'm just going to have dudes that slide up and down the field. That's all they're going to do. They're just going to slide around on the field, which is going to look weird and whatever. But as long as everything else works, I can always add graphics later. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing. Oh wow. I doubt I'll ever go with X's and O's, but because I don't want to be another one of those kind of manager games that uses weird dots and squares and lines and junk. Yeah. Good night, man. Get some sleep, and I'll see you next time you stop by. Have a good one. Gray boxing, huh? Never heard that term, but okay. It is 10:09. I need to go to bed myself. Tomorrow's Friday. I got a lot going on tomorrow, so I probably should call it and hit the hay and get some sleep going into the weekend.